Oh my goodness, what's up everybody? There's so many people here. What the hell is going on? I think we broke the YouTube or something happened. Oh man, we're about to get started here, guys. We got a little bit... I put together this little music video about Shelby Shell, which is the topic for tonight. And Mandy from Truth and Justice came on to be our guest. She kind of focuses on the true crime aspect of what's going on with Ernie Shell's brother. Just a crazy, crazy case, crazy information. I want to thank you guys all for coming here, especially if you're new. Thank you, mods, for being here. Sorry if it gets a little crazy, but I'm just so happy that you guys are here. All right, just give it one moment and we will get started here.
Then after that, let's see, I was sitting in a parking lot, waiting on my brother to come pick me up, because we're going to spend a burglary day, you know what I'm saying, I've been locked up all my life, and my brother was going to come pick me up, you know, because I don't want to go down there, I do, but I don't, you know what I'm saying, I don't want it, it's too high on gas that way. After I'm going to get the gas money, you know what I'm saying, if he wants to come pick me up, you know, I'd buy some shoes and some clothes and stuff. He's got the text on his phone, you know. And he said, I can't talk right now, this and that, you know, like, because of that lady. But he said, I call you about 13 minutes. He texted that on the phone. And so I was waiting on him to call me or do something, you know. And so I was talking to one of my buddies on the phone and stuff. But at the time, a van pulled up. And they was all...
And I just looked, and he was getting off the ground when I come in there, and there was a pump shotgun in the corner. I just wanted to kick him right in the face, and you stupid son of a bitch. Then after that, I went looking for a hammer or something, you know what I'm saying, I could kill him real quiet with. Yeah. Then I started just taking his mouth, and his fucking nose and shit up. Dude, he just started fucking adrenaline in his, bro. And he was...
If you guys can't understand a word that he's saying, don't worry, you're not alone. Tonight we have a very special guest, Truth and Justice, to talk to us about Shelby Shell's criminal case where he pled guilty to murder and some other stuff. So if you guys don't know Ernie Shell, check out my videos that I've just made and get strapped in because there's a lot of controversy over this case and we're going to go over it tonight.
Steve Hensley. First on Night Watch, police say he shot and killed former Everett's Mayor Ronnie King and set a fire. But Shelby Shell claims he is innocent. Police arrested Shell this afternoon at his home in Berea and brought him to the Harlan County Detention Center. WYNT's Angela Sparkman talked to Shell and has tonight's top story at 11.
29-year-old Shelby Shell grew up in Everett, but moved to Berea when he got out of jail in December. But now he is back in jail, charged with the murder of Ronnie King.
It's like, you know, it's a mistake. They got the wrong one at first, you know.
Police say someone shot King and set his home on fire 1 week ago in Everett.
I knew him. I liked Ronnie. I always liked Ronnie. He was always good to me and stuff, you know.
Shell says the mother of his children rented an apartment from King and says he borrowed money from King recently. Monday, state police arrested Shell at his home in Berea for King's murder.
No, I ain't even been in there. Spirit, I got proof. I was at work and stuff the whole time. I couldn't be in two places at one time, and I live all the way in Berea.
Police will not say what led them to Shell in Berea, but say they have enough evidence for the murder charge.
This arrest comes from a week-long investigation. However, we can't go into any details what led us to Mr. Shell, except that we feel that we have enough information to charge him with murder of Mr. King.
So everything's gonna be okay. I'll be in court because I will, you know, because, I mean, I didn't do it, you know what I'm saying? They ain't got no evidence on me, you know what I'm saying? I ain't done nothing.
Oh, man. All right, let's go ahead and get this thing started. I don't know, guys. I've been making when Ernie Shell came on YouTube. I think I was the first guy who interviewed him, and he was on Facebook. He didn't even have a YouTube channel at the time, and I don't know. It was a really weird one. I had him and Greeno on at the same time actually, and it was kind of a shit show. I think they both had badges on and stuff. Anyways, I'm gonna read a quick article about Shelby Shell's case, and then we're going to get our guest on here. For any of you guys that are familiar with this case, I'm sure you've heard this a few times, but I'm just going to read a couple things here really quick. And this is the most recent article that came out. Shell accepts 20-year plea deal for the King murder. An Everett's man accepted a 20-year plea deal on Tuesday during a Harlan Circuit Court final sentencing for the murder of former Everett's mayor Ronnie King in 2013 and a separate hostage situation at the Harlan County Detention Center in 2014. Shelby Shell, 36, of Berea, took the 20-year plea for the 2013 murder charges, while the kidnapping charges of the two deputies at the detention center were amended as misdemeanors. Harlan Circuit Court Judge Kent Hendrickson first declared the King murder case a mistrial after a hearing on March 14, 2019, with the jury count at 6 versus 6. After hours of reviewing more evidence and listening to the arguments, the jury came back to say that they still could not reach a verdict. Shell was arrested by the Kentucky State Police on February 25, 2013 for the murder of the former Everett's mayor and council member. According to a criminal complaint from the former KSP Lieutenant Jason Adams, Shell unlawfully entered King's home in possession of a firearm. Shell allegedly shot King in the head. He then bound King's hands and feet before setting fire to the home, destroying the evidence. And a couple things on here that I've already kind of asked Mandy about are, you don't really get the truth in all the public articles. If you guys type Shelby Shell in Google and really try to find a timeline for this crime, you cannot find anything at all. So let's go ahead and bring our guest on. We're going to probably start from the beginning because I'm very confused with this case, but I'm very interested, almost obsessed, because I've never seen anything make Ernie so mad than people wondering about what happened to his brother. I mean, why is he so angry? I don't get it. But alrighty, let's go ahead and bring her on. Make sure to give her a warm welcome. Mandy from Truth and Justice. Here we go. Hey, Mandy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. How are you doing tonight?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Doing good. I know you're used to this much people, but it's kind of a lot for me, so thank you for being here.
Hello, Nicolina.
She's the best.
She
Nicolina.
is. She
I'm really weird about going in other people's chats, but she made me feel so welcomed and nice over there.
Mm-hmm.
So, how long have you been into this case here? Because usually the focus is always on Ernie, but on your channel you really dig into Shelby's situation.
Mm-hmm. So I have been involved literally since February of this year.
Okay. You've done a lot in that much time.
Mm-hmm.
So, just to start, some people might not know this, but Ernie and Shelby were brothers, and
Mm-hmm.
Ernie being the older, they were kind of at 4 and 8, that was their ages, they were kind of separated, and they had a really, really rough childhood.
Right.
Like how would you describe their household, I guess, growing up?
Very poor, very little disciplinary. Just the whole thing is crazy. Mom allowed them to watch porn for hours at that age. So
Yeah, and
literally,
that, I'm sorry to interrupt, like that documentary style video that you played today, I
hmm
watched that a few times because it was so well put together. And
hmm
that them watching porn as children, that's not just something that comes out of nowhere. I mean,
no,
that comes from, they literally told us.
yeah, they literally told everything. So that video was actually made by the state social worker. Um, she made that video for Shelby's trial so that we would have a better understanding of the family dynamic.
Yeah, because right away, the whole public already kind of dehumanizes him. Nobody really knows or gives him a chance. So
hmm
that video kind of showed what his life was like.
Right. And it showed how easily he was manipulated. It showed, he's been institutionalized all of his life. From 11 years old till current, he's only had 1 year, one
Can you
year of
guys
actual
believe that?
street time.
That is insane to think about. From 11 to, what is he now, like 38 or something like that?
He just turned, I think, 39.
Yeah, that like goes above and beyond saying, oh, someone spent half their life in jail. No, it's like literally from a kid until now,
Yeah.
he only had 1 year of being a regular person.
hmm And that was off and on, so it wasn't all combined, in 1 year. So he would be out for a couple of months, then locked back up, out for a couple of months, then locked back up, and then out. Same
Yeah.
philosophy. So this last go, he was literally, what, November, December, probably about 3.5 months out
And
when
that
this murder occurred.
and that was, so if anybody doesn't know, he was 3 months out of that situation that happened in, it was at South
South
Carolina?
Carolina. Yeah.
Right, okay. So it's just so weird because I have brothers from different dads, and we separated at that time too, but we ended up like coming back as a family eventually. But with this, they just kind of started talking again like 2012, 2013, around there.
hmm Yeah. That's, I would say like November 29th when he got released, they started talking again. And Shelby is what I call a people pleaser.
Mm-hmm.
So he will do whatever it takes to please somebody. So to keep his family intact, he would definitely want to please his brother.
That is exactly what I picked up from that video of his family talking
hmm
and just being a scapegoat. I mean, people with those kind of personalities can be easy scapegoats. You want to make everyone laugh, you want to make everyone happy,
hmm
you just want to fit in. Yeah.
hmm
Jeez. So he, what was his, what came first, or was most of his crimes? Was it this? Because a lot of it is like, is it burglaries, pretty much?
Burglaries, theft, you name it, as far as that's concerned. Like any grand larceny was his actual charge in South Carolina. Um, so yeah, he literally also stole for other people to please them. There, there's a lot that goes with this.
Dang.
So he's been robbing and stealing since a young age, and a lot of times he'll do it just to eat.
Yeah.
Um,
In one thing that you pointed out, because when you look at the large rap sheet, yeah, there's some violence here and there, but that's not like his MO or what he did. But
no,
from what you're saying, along with the just trying to eat thing, like it's when he first got locked up, I'm sure the mayor being the victim, and from what you said, he was treated very, very poorly in the jail.
hmm
And was he
hmm
at like the point of malnourishment, or what was it like?
Let's see, there was malnourishment involved. It was like a 40-day hunger strike at that point on both ends. There's just a lot of things that led up to him actually kidnapping the guards after 9 months. He couldn't get blankets. He couldn't get any of his legal documentation. He couldn't get anything.
Yeah. One thing that, well, it didn't shock me till now because I didn't really think about it, but why would, if it was that bad or horrible, like kidnapping is a horrible thing, but for them to drop it to misdemeanors, it must not have been, you know, I don't know. It just must not have been that bad if they dropped it to misdemeanors, and part of that, it was kind of like a shady plea. Can we talk about this
Yeah.
plea deal?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
And so the way I looked at it was like you look at it, they say he took a plea for 20 years, and I'm thinking, well, that doesn't sound like too bad because of all the charges there were, and then it might be like he's probably over half of it served already, but then I'm thinking to myself, is that it? And it wasn't, right?
Right, right. So his plea deal, he actually got stuck with 2 crimes mixed in one plea deal. That's crazy.
That's really weird. Yeah, you don't hear that.
Exactly. So we got the crime over the fact that he kidnapped the 2 guards, and then he got the crime over the complicity charges. So it was one huge combined sentencing.
And
Which, if I
so,
was an attorney, I would have said, no.
right. And thinking of it from, like, he must have, I bet he had people telling him, like, just take it, it's good. But, like, if you think you're innocent, it must have been hard to do that. But maybe he felt like there was no other way because I don't,
Right.
And so there's like a lot more people involved. Since we can't nail down a timeline, if somebody just asks you, like, for their first time looking at the case, how do you explain what happened to Ronnie King? Like, it's so confusing to me.
It is very, very confusing. So I take a mix of everything that I've learned. We have all their recordings. So you go back and you listen to Dixon, you listen to all the other factoring causes. So you have Dixon, you have
And
Ernie, you have
Dixon
Jimbo.
was one of the shady friends. Like, I've made videos about Ernie and Jimbo who are shady people, but this
Mhm.
Dixon is a new one I didn't know about. So he was,
So introduce Kevin Dixon. Kevin Dixon is a known area criminal anyway. Most of them from that area are. I don't think most people back there even have a clean background. Just saying. Um, so you take Dixon. Dixon um, knew King well. Dixon is the one who helped King go to places like Johnson City, um, go get groceries, things like that. Dixon was also one of his dealers. So,
oh, okay.
you know, the drugs are talked about, the sex is talked about. Um, Also, with King being a known gay man. That's
That's what
why
I
the
was
gay
just going to
thing,
ask.
yeah,
He
the
was
gay factor comes
okay.
in. Yeah.
So he was like okay with it, like outward, like he
Yeah.
was, he wasn't like closeted or anything.
No, no, it was no secret.
Okay.
Everybody knew he was a gay man. So,
Yeah, it's just so strange how the sex stuff comes in, but
yeah,
I see
well,
what you're saying.
that's why. So, of course, the court ruled that whatever sex had took place in that time frame was consensual. So that's, kind of been debunked in the long run. But
Okay.
then at the same time, you have the, Ernie's buddy Dixon is in jail or, being questioned on the 18th. So Shelby's stuff doesn't come to play for 9 days. Like 9 days after this.
So they were looking at Dixon before anybody else?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
Dixon. There's, a couple of others that they were looking into. So you start figuring what was the motive? What was the motive? Well, then you run into this false book issue. The false book has never been recovered. And you also have people that can place Ernie back into the area at the same time frame, saying that he was also a dealer at the time.
Right. And
You know,
that's where I'm just so interested in building this like time frame up because it's so it it's just so weird how Ernie's you hear about these alibis like they change like a million times and he's never he could have gotten mad at me for a million other things but just and he knows like I'm not like some irresponsible true crime guy like I'd want to figure
mhm.
out the facts so I don't get why he's so angry. I don't understand.
I think it's just the fact that it is his brother. His brother's still speaking out. Um, like they have tried a million times already to stop Shelby from talking. Um, you did just have to know the campaigns that they have tried. So I would think that burden of guilt lays on him. I mean, if he's so mad about it, there's got to be a trigger reason, you know, explain that to me because innocent people do not act like these people do.
Yeah, and if and he's not fighting for his brother's innocence, and he's not taking any kind of strong
Mm-mm.
side of it. It's just so sketchy.
And
And
like somebody in chat asked if Ernie supported, no, Ernie does not support his brother. Ernie does not do anything for his brother. So you guys know this is a literally hate situation from what I
yeah,
know.
I saw Ernie get asked if he loved his brother, and he just totally didn't even try to answer it, or he
Mm-mm.
lied. You could tell he doesn't.
Right.
So on on one of these articles we talked about it. Can you tell us a little bit about the scene as much as you're able to tell us? Like they have it here saying that Ronnie King was shot in the head and then bound and gagged, and then the house was set on fire, destroying evidence. And that there's kind of a couple things wrong there, right?
Right. So he was actually tied up before he was shot. So it is a full out duct tape. Um, he was duct taped over the face. The eyes were left uncovered. That's for sure. Um, so he was duct taped and bound with a belt. There's just a lot of issues with that because you would have to be bound. So of
Right.
course,
Yeah.
I would think that flight or fight mode would kick in. And if I was in that situation, I'd be fighting. Um,
Yeah, I can't think of why, unless they did, you know, unless they were really that mad that he recognized him or something. I don't
mhm.
understand why they would like they was it because it seems like it could be like an execution style killing, and that's kind of scary. But if he was
Right.
fighting back, I can see that happening too. It just
And see, Ernie has called it an execution style killing. How would he
huh.
know if he wasn't there? Just
Yeah.
saying. Kind of.
Also, all I know it ties in, but there's more stuff that people didn't know that they were privy to. Like there
Hmm.
was a false book safe. Like there was some kind of
Hmm.
money that people knew about.
So there was a false book there that everybody that ever worked for King knew about. Um, so with the false book, King was known to keep anywhere from 1,000 upwards to 5,000 in this book.
And yeah, and that like at any given time, like it was kind of his I don't know what you'd call it, like his pocket stash or some
Right, it would
emergency
be
stash.
yeah, his emergency stash. So it was kept on the safe, or not on the safe, but it was kept in a bookcase. Um, so people knew about that book. I mean, it wasn't, King also ran a pawn shop out of his home.
That's
So,
weird.
yeah. And then if you actually go back and you listen to the family talk, there was more stuff that was taken other than just, say, these wheat pennies they found on Shelby. The amount of jewelry that was on Shelby. Um, and this gun.
Is that what he was saying in the phone recording that we heard?
Mhm. Yes.
What is it?
So wheat pennies.
Safe pennies?
Wheat pennies.
See, I didn't know what that meant. I thought they were talking about panties or something.
Mm-mm. So wheat pennies, a coin collector would know exactly what they were worth. Um, but Shelby was actually caught with the wheat pennies, a very insignificant amount of jewelry, and the driver's side door of the truck, is
Okay.
where the gun was stashed. Now, let me explain that. Because Ernie was driving Shelby's truck on the 24th. They actually went to Everett's for Brothers' Day to go see family.
That's
Now, this
really
is where
weird.
Shelby says that he acquired the wheat pennies, that little small amount of fake jewelry, and that Ernie was playing with the door panel of the gun or of the truck. So when they went to go retrieve the items, now remember, they dropped Shelby off, and Ernie makes a phone call to, I think it was Marvin Lipford, okay? Which at the time, if you look up Kentucky Justice, was the sheriff in that TV show for Harlan County.
Dang.
So you take that into consideration. So he calls that guy after dropping Shelby off. And I mean, he is off the hook. I have that recording. I've played it.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So he's just off the hook. Then by the time they get to KSP that same night, Ernie knows it's being recorded, and he gets super quiet. So he's like trying to hide his voice or whatever. So we also have the transcript for that call along with that call. I mean, I can't even make this shit up.
Yeah. It's
So of course they got a warrant based on Shelby had a gun that night. That's how they got the warrant for Shelby. But Ernie kept saying, it'll be there in the morning. It'll be there. It'll be there. And he told them the location of where the gun was in the driver's side panel. Here's a little known secret. Shelby didn't drive. Shelby couldn't drive no more than like 5 miles from home. So from Brea to Everett's is over 3 hours. So make that make sense.
So is this one of the is this like one of the big things, or is this like one of the is there like many little breadcrumbs like this that show you that people know more than what they're
Oh my,
saying?
this thing, there's like breadcrumb after breadcrumb after breadcrumb after breadcrumb.
I'm telling you this it's so interesting. So interesting.
So, and with the change of just like the change between talking to, the sheriff that ran Kentucky Justice, which was a TV show, which would have made him famous. And then the change to the KSP, which I call him Mr. Magoo, but his name's Cornett. So the changes between his voice in between those two recorded conversations is huge.
Is this a separate situation, or am I thinking, is this the one that Traders Amongst Us slowed down and transposed?
Oh, no, that's a whole new thing.
Can you explain that one for us too? Because
Okay.
like in true crime, like I've been trying to learn how to transpose stuff because it's kind of technical, and I'm like, how did she do that? Doesn't like she makes parodies and funny movies, and then she's around like a super scientist transposing stuff.
Right.
What?
So what that particular call was, that call was to supposedly, quote unquote, a call to the Kentucky Correctional Facility. So when she slowed it down, you could directly hear it being Ernie's voice.
Man, see,
And
why would people do that? Why would they do
well,
that?
because he doesn't want people talking to his brother. And in my opinion, he's just falsifying more information to get caught with. Just saying. These people are good at falsifying information. There's also some murder for hire things out there on a Daniel Christopher Lewis um, that Jimbo and Ernie were a part of as well.
Was Dixon as close to them as, like, was Dixon as close to, say, Shelby as Shelby was to Ernie and Jimbo, or were they kind of a
No.
new friendship for him?
So Dixon and Shelby had no other ground
Because when
other
I hear
than him hearing
stories,
about him.
everybody makes it seem like Shelby was the guy who led everybody to Ronnie King, but looking at it, it would be more Dixon, wouldn't it? Because
It
Dixon
is
was
more
way
Dixon.
closer to
In my
Ronnie.
opinion, it is because, like I said, Dixon even admitted freely that he went everywhere, helped him out, sold drugs for him. So Dixon was closer. And then if you listen to his sister, King's sister, admitted that she was on the phone with King and Dixon showed up at the door and he told her he would call her back. And I've proven that that door, you could see who was there. It's very clear that you could see who was at that door.
Wow.
So if he said Dixon, I believe he knew. I do believe he knew his assailant.
And at this time, that girlfriend who knew, she knew more than she was supposed to, and she's passed away now. So it's only him that could. Has he said anything publicly, or is he just
He was
hiding?
on one of Jimbo's lives.
Really, he was on his live.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Oh, let me find this clip for you real quick. I think you would
what
appreciate
is
it.
he doing over there? Why is he over on Jimbo's
So
live? Come on.
Jimbo called him. This is probably for the fact that, he needed somebody to back his stories up. So I am suggesting that the three friends were, of course, Ernie, Jimbo, and Dixon. Those three were the tightest because on that live, they say, and I quote, when Shelby gets out, you know he's coming for us, basically. Why would Shelby be coming for you guys?
Right?
Don't make sense. So, all in all, it's like, oh my God, did they really just say that on a live? Yes, they did. Um,
I
and
can't even. I can't even. Why did? And just another thing, totally off topic. It seems as if Jimbo, the stand, was almost exposing Ernie with all this
he
court
was,
footage.
and
What is going?
I was with the stand when it started.
What the fuck? I don't see it. It's like I just tune in and they're like so happy together. Because when I told you I had him on my interview, I think there was people were giving me Jimbo's phone number and telling me have him on so he can expose Ernie, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, he's done with that. They did a fist bump and it, whatever, blah blah
Oh
blah.
no.
There you go. It's in the private chat. It's like 42 seconds.
Perfect. Yep, I'll play
Um,
this.
it's quite funny. Just so you know.
And Nicolina just brought up in the chat too. I also had a 40-second clip that all it says is he blames his own sister for the murder of Ronnie King, and I thought that was
Yeah,
weird. I forgot to bring that up.
yeah, he did.
Why? Yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on.
Well, I
So
mean,
this
you
just
wouldn't. Yeah, it's only 42 seconds. It's super funny.
so now why would Shelby Shell want to find these three innocent men?
Uh-huh.
I hope you let him come and live with you.
Right.
You know,
I mean, see, when he gets out, I do know, I mean, I'd say he'd be after me and Ernie.
oh, I expect.
Yeah, why would he be? Yeah, that's a good point. Why would he be after?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I expect.
Whoa! Did you just hear that?
What did he say?
He said if Shelby gets out, he's gonna be after me, you, and Ernie.
He did say that.
Yeah. So when you go back, I don't know if he still has the live up or not, but like they spend like an hour over the phone discussing, and then that one telltale thing right there. I do love rap. Rap's amazing.
Man,
But
that is
yeah,
why would yeah. And somebody said a comment about there was some more quotes from this guy saying like he hopes they don't go digging in that again. Like up. Yeah, that guy sounds really sus. Why?
yeah,
Jim. I think I had the wrong impression of Jimbo because he looks to me like a slow kind of moron guy, but maybe he is kind of tries to manipulate stuff smarter. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you have a lawyer saying, trying to tell Shelby that, they weren't above using burner phones in 2013. You have all these things that, just pile up.
I'm going to
These,
play that just before I forget about it. That
yeah.
one where he blames his own sister for it. So I guess that's what Nick said. Right now,
Yeah.
this is what he's talking about, I guess. So
Oh, dear Lord.
he hasn't stopped.
Mm-mm.
When you have a house, when you have a house full of robbers, killers, murderers, and just it's where it is. It's what the whole family. It's the family. The family is, and they may want to admit it now, and my sister tries. Oh, we're the best of all. Well, let me tell you something, sis. Your old man, the shit he's done. But everything's all good. Everything's all good. Like they've never ever done nothing or nothing like that. And to be honest with you, I kind of blame her for the murder of Ronnie King. I kind of blame her for the murder of Ronnie King.
Jesus.
How is it her fault? I don't get it. Like,
I think-
innocent people don't act
Yeah.
like this. I'm sorry.
I think his exact quote was, "In that time frame, he was living with them. That's why." But that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean it's their fault.
Oh, dear. He's playing MP.
Uh-oh. Does he have a badge?
Nicolina says, oh, tonight Ernie is back to being military police.
Yeah,
Yes, he did want to abduct his sister, Kaz. That's
really.
crazy. Yeah.
I think I've seen a clip. There's something out there, isn't there?
Mm-hmm. Somewhere.
So, is this the same sister in that documentary? Her name is Amber?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Amber.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, it's on your channel. Okay, Kaz. We'll have to look at that. You'll look at it. In your opinion, do you think Shelby's innocent, or do you think that they are just as guilty, or like where do you kind of lay?
My
on
gut
this?
tells me that literally, I do think that Shelby is innocent of the complicity of murder stuff. That's what my gut tells me. His story has been the same story for the last 9.5 years. I've asked questions like, tell me about this busload of prisoners. Well, the busload of prisoners that they talk about that may have known anything, they're the ones from Harlan County Jail that knew that Shelby kidnapped the guards. Okay, well, he doesn't deny that. He doesn't deny any of his past history. None of them. None of his crimes has he ever denied, except for the complicity. So it's very compelling to me.
So in all of the other stuff that he's either done wrong or been accused of doing wrong, he just stands up and he admits it and he takes responsibility.
He does take full credibility for what he's done.
That was one thing that caught my eye a lot, just like the size 8 shoes situation. What can you tell us a little bit about the evidence that's not in the public, that as much as you're willing to say, like what was, because Ronnie King was restrained with a belt, there was duct tape.
Yeah.
A gun was used, shot in the head, then set fire. And again, it makes it seem as if the whole house was ashes, but they set the body on fire, right?
Mm-hmm. The body wasn't completely on fire, but they set parts of it on fire. Like you could tell his shirt was singed, his socks were singed. He wasn't completely nude, as some people would have you believe. He did have his shirt on, and his socks and his underwear were down at his ankles. So,
really, okay.
Of course, there was a sexual act that was performed due to the fact that it was consensual. There was really not much they could say or do. So that's why, like I said, that's why all the gay stuff comes in.
And another thing, too, is we don't know if it was the 17th or 18th, right?
As far as time of death, correct. We do not know.
Yeah.
We do not know.
So when you say that Dixon was questioned on the 18th, was that like later in the day after they found, obviously, or?
Yes.
Okay.
So they actually showed up around 11:30 that morning. 9:30, the fire department shows up. 11:30, investigator shows up.
Wow.
So that's a big time gap. What did they destroy in the meanwhile? The process. They did not send the tape off for testing to have any of the duct tape actually looked at forensics testing. None of that.
Man.
So these are new things that are currently going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's so hard for me because in 2019, like, wasn't it in 2019 they brought more stuff to the table, but it wasn't even everything. Like, there's still more stuff that needs to be brought up and examined.
Exactly, correct.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Because why didn't they do that?
Who knows? Who knows? I mean, I've tried to dig through files trying to figure that out. And then you also have a shoe size of a size 8. That would be Ernie, Dixon. Both of them wore the same shoe size, just so you guys know.
Yeah, Shelby's listed at 6 foot. He looks big in the videos I've seen. Yeah, had to take note of that. Way bigger than Ernie.
Exactly. So, and then he's also a size 11 foot. Just saying.
Yeah, and were they taking pictures of all the shoes, or was it just those shoes? Like, what were they? What do you think that was? Were they making it seem as if people were stealing shoes of that size, or it's so weird?
Ernie told a story at one point that Shelby borrowed his shoes to commit this murder.
Ernie said that before?
Uh-huh.
What the hell? What the hell? He said that Shelby used his shoes to. Come on, Ernie. That has to be some kind of an admission right there.
There's so much. There's also his last lovely highway run. He was screaming, Shelby Shell's going to shoot me. Shelby Shell's in the tree line, blah, blah, blah. I watched that for over an hour and a half, and I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Why are you so afraid of your brother?
Yeah, unless it's a guilty conscience. He should have no reason to be afraid of somebody if they're a cold-blooded murderer or if you... Why... It's just... Yeah, there's something fishy.
Yeah.
He was taking questions yesterday as if he didn't care. He was so open, but he was just... It was like a filibuster. Like, you just talk in circles. There's no way you can talk to somebody like that and get the truth.
I call that the mental and verbal gymnastics that he pulls each and every day. This is the same game he plays each and every day, just in my opinion.
It's got to be tiring. How can you keep it up? It's got to take a lot out of you.
How can you keep... You tell a different story every day, so your stories are debunked by your own admission. Just saying.
When you talk to Shelby on the phone and stuff, how can you tell us like what kind of a vibe he gave you when he first started and how you guys kind of grew into more of a better relationship and stuff?
Okay, so the first phone call ever, oh my God, it was, he breathes into the phone and he's like, explain to me how you're not sent by my brother. It was very aggressive. It was very, like, he didn't trust me, period. I'm just going to be honest. He didn't. He honestly thought that it was another one of Ernie's people trying to start shit with him.
And like he was so... Do you think it was coming from paranoia or it was coming from past experience having so many people do that to him?
Past experience.
Yeah.
He has been through that a lot. A lot of people actually do try to reach out to him. So he's very afraid of talking because these people are pretty damning. I mean, they literally attack him. They'll write bad things, and like I had to reach out to people and ask people, like, is this how prisoners normally act? Like, what the hell? What am I getting myself involved in, first of all?
Yeah.
So,
and also, remember, everyone, he's only had 1 year of practice of being a normal human, too. Like, just imagine. Like,
So, literally, you can hear, like, even when we did the one on 9/15 a couple of days ago, 4 days ago, you can tell, like, everything that we've worked on and his wording so much better. Like, he's able to hold a conversation now without being carried off here and there. And, just like Jason Ludwig says he can relate a lot to Shelby. Well, I reached out to Jason for help understanding Shelby. I'm not going to lie. I needed help. Like, I have never seen somebody that institutionalized in my life. Never.
yeah, I can't even imagine. And that's a really good sign. Like, it would be crazy if you thought, oh, I can just go handle all this. Like, it's very humble to be like, I need to understand this. Like, I need a little bit of help. That's cool. Because, like, yeah, I can't even, I seriously can't imagine, like, you've heard of cases where people are institutionalized, but this is like, I wouldn't even try to see if he was. Like, I could see from the past, of course he would be institutionalized at this point.
Right. Right. And it's like some days it was like tooth and nail. There were days that I was spending 3 and 4 phone calls a day trying to explain to him what my side of this was, what I wanted to know. And then he tells me, he says, hey, I need you to know that these are not safe people. Please just be careful what you're getting yourself into. And I'm like, what?
Dang.
And he warns you about Ernie and Jimbo. And it's just like, okay, what do I do? It's just like, wow, this is a lot. So it was crazy. At first, it was really crazy.
And even though his story has never changed through talking and learning how to talk better and stuff.
Hmm.
Has he become like better able to tell his story? Like, have you noticed a
Yes.
difference in that?
Oh, yes. I mean, there is like, at first, he would be like all over the place and like 75 mile per hour. And now he's slowed it down to where we can understand what he's telling us. He's more direct with what he's telling us. And he literally, like, he calls me one day, like recently, and says, "Guess what? I'm telling my lawyer everything." So he starts telling her everything. There was an instance with Jimbo wanting to set a car on fire on I-40 and offered Shelby a couple $100 to do it. So, he tells her that. Um, so we're starting to see that there's a cycle and that there's a pattern with these people.
And
And if it wasn't for him, we would have never known any of this.
does he seem like does he seem like sad and betrayed about Jimbo and Ernie, or does he seem spiteful and mad or indifferent or
He is very he's just pissed. He's pissed that his real brother or his brother, his blood could turn him in, that his brother could set him up on a joke. And the whole time we've been told, you know, it was a joke. We were told that. So yeah, I
that's
I couldn't
something?
tell you.
So the main piece of evidence that he got convicted on was this phone call,
Yeah.
which Jimbo had. And can you tell us? Because I've heard it, but haven't had it explained. How was it? He came out and said it was a joke call. Like, what was that about?
So he says it was a joke. He says that he was joking around with Jimbo and Ernie. That they were Jimbo or Ernie and Shelby would like joke around with the girlfriend Lucinda, and say like, "Oh, I beat my wife up," and she would be like, "Oh God, I'm calling the cops. You don't need to be beating your wife up," like stuff like that. So they took it a step further, and Ernie reassured him that, "Oh, they've got Dixon in jail. Please, please, um, just go along with the joke."
Wow.
So that's how this joke with the murder started. And I'm starting to see that it is very much a probability. I mean, you move forward and you fast forward to now, they've got the murder for hire, um, crap that involves somebody else. Um, they love making fake recordings. And who records somebody all the time for 20 years? Like, why
Yeah.
would you do that? If
That
that's your friend, why are you recording them?
and it
I
was on
don't
like a
get it.
damn flip phone type of deal. Like that's like some high, like that had to have been they tried to do that to him. I don't get
Mhm.
it. Definitely set him out or set
So
him up.
yeah,
Sorry.
so Shelby literally thinks that both of these two are flat out like in on it together. So they set him up, and that's been his story since day one. That video that you played in the beginning where he's talking, that's the day he went to jail. Before he even talked to the detectives, he did that interview.
Wow. Even institutionalized before this, because you can
Hmm.
tell in the. I, that's why I was asking you about because it's hard to tell these guys' emotions because Ernie and him they kind of sound like I can't understand when they're talking that much that good, but after a
Hmm.
while, are you're able to kind of gauge? Does he feel kind of? Is he at least hopeful that most of his sentence is over if nothing were to happen, or happy that you have this community supporting him now and
He's super grateful for the community. I mean, he calls them fans, and we've tried to correct that, but I don't think we're ever going to. But he is super grateful for all the help, all the support that he's gotten. He has hope where he has never had it before. So he's actually got something to look forward to.
Yeah, that looks, because looking at his it was a few years ago, but I'm sure you saw it. Of course, like they let inmates make a blog and like to have pen pals and stuff, and he just the way he wrote his thing, it was just like he was looking for a friend, pretty much. Like he's
Yeah.
you know.
And now it's like, now he'll forward all that stuff to me, and he'll be like, here, you need to look through this. You need to go through it because I don't trust any of these people. But when he started that, of course, it opened the door for his brother to send people to attack him. Like, if you knew Ernie, you were in trouble. Just saying. I mean,
Yeah.
he'd shut the door in your face. He has a hard time communicating with people. So.
And one question that I asked you before was really interesting. I was like, because of course, obviously, you get a lot of trolls and backlash from people like Ernie or Jimbo and stuff. But I was asking, what about like the family of Ronnie King? And can you tell us a little bit about what they might think of?
So in
reopening or-
2019, at the trial, they were still blaming Dixon. And at this point, from my understanding, they are still blaming Dixon. So, I mean, it's mixed signals in a lot of ways, but when you have one main suspect that literally he's been in and out of the jail, but he's a confidential informant. You know, it's hard. Do what? Shelby was found guilty 67 times. Oh my hell.
It's a lot of times.
Now he did rob 27 houses. That I have to agree to. He did. I have the paperwork on that. Just saying.
Jeez. If there's anybody who wants to ask any questions too, put them in chat at Mandy or at Truth and Justice or T and J, and I'll try to ask them if anybody has questions.
So, like, literally, Shelby held a gun to a woman's head. Interesting. And threatened a judge. Interesting.
Yeah, it's
Why
no
is
good.
that not in his legal shit? Just saying. But yeah, the whole conspiracy theory, I will say this about Shelby being a serial killer.
Did Ernie put that one out there? Or?
Yeah, he did.
Surprised.
Yeah. So with that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and clear the air. The night that they turned Shelby in and said that they could get this recording, it states, quote unquote, that he had killed 9 people. Now, how the hell is he going to kill 9 people and then the other night it was 16 people? So, he's been in prison now for 9.5 years, almost 10. How are you going to kill 9 people when your life has been spent in prison? Just saying.
Yeah, in that 1 year that he was free, he got married. He killed all those people.
Oh my, yeah. So, if that was to be true, I'm pretty sure he would have already been charged. Oh, you're typing what Mama T's chat's saying?
Yeah, and like you said, why wouldn't that be in his legal records? Like, if Ernie's going to go out there and say that stuff, he should have the proof behind him. Like,
right.
At this point, it's like a true crime thing. You're like, it's just spreading misinformation if you can't prove anything.
Exactly, and like what we are putting out, it's facts.
Man,
I try to bring every receipt possible to the table. Now, I will say Shelby did get pissed off at his attorney, and he spit on his attorney like
he
a
spit
child.
on his attorney? Oh.
Yeah.
That's well.
I played it. I played that whole video actually. But he did it out of frustration.
Yeah.
Um,
I, yeah, in my state of South Dakota, it was many years ago. I got drunk and spit on somebody too, and it was called an assault. So I get
yeah.
it.
Well, he got an extra
whatever.
6 months tacked onto his
No
prison
good.
sentence.
It's
So,
no good either way.
I mean,
What about the kidnapping of the guards? Like, how did that even get dropped to a misdemeanor if you kidnapped
okay,
guards?
so it's not exactly a misdemeanor, but they lowered the charge down. I know that much. So he actually supposedly, allegedly had shanks. We did do a shank class one day. Um, to show the shanks that were found in his cell along with his rope. So he, they
Been
amended it
making
down.
shanks?
Yeah, yeah. He made a fake gun too out of toilet paper rolls. So very inventive.
Wait, what? He made a fake gun out of toilet paper rolls?
Yeah, yeah.
Man is a genius.
Um, he's also made roses for people. I mean, he does a lot of stuff. He's very handy with his hands, I will say that. But we did do a whole shank class that day. And we also played the grand jury indictment for that kidnapping. But he did have, 10 years added for that one. So, he does get extra time for his bad behavior. So, I can't really say that this would even release him, in good faith, even though they would take the 20 years for the complicity off, it still wouldn't be enough. I mean, he would still have to serve his debt for the kidnapping and other
Yeah.
things that have happened since then.
I'm kind of worried about him because I don't know how, if somebody gets a sentence of 20 years, they might end up only doing like 10 or less or something. Like
Mm-hmm.
he might be closer to getting out than the time he has left. So what, like, how can he possibly leave and try to be normal when he's that institutionalized and he has this much, the world's against him. Like, he's way behind the 8 ball.
Right. The world's against him, but there is a plan for when and if he does get out. He needs to leave Kentucky and never come back. That's a fact. He needs to stay away from the temptations, such as his brother and other bad influences in his life. He does need cognitive behavior treatment, which would be good for him because he does suffer from a TBI. So he would have to have help to even get out of the institutionalization. So,
Man.
but there is a game plan and an action plan for him. Cognitive therapy. Thank you, River. But yeah, there's a game plan.
Good deal.
Yeah, and he's got a support system once he gets out as well.
Yeah, there's these. I don't cover cases very much times where I think, oh, I'm always the guy who says, oh, they can never get rehabilitated, but usually I'm talking about like pedos or something, but just somebody who's been in jail that much, you would think they have no chance, but I have hope for him if he can have a support group and be good.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad. He has no support from his own. If Ernie had nothing to do with it, then why doesn't he support it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, he's not a very supportive person. I mean, even in like if you go through a lot of like his survivors of him, we'll just say, they don't have, they look out for support. I mean, and that's basically what we've all been is, just a support group for that. So,
And
Shelby does see his attorney like a couple of times a month, but visits, no. Shelby gets no visits. just so you guys know.
Okay. So is that what so I always get the words appeal and retrial. I get them mixed up because they just seem the same to me. But is that the goal that we're going for, or you're going for right now on his team, is to get
an appeal
get an
in
appeal?
place. Yes.
So what all goes in? Did they have to have an appeal in 2019 when they brought up more stuff, or is that something else?
His trial, it took them 6 years just to get to the trial. Okay. Half of the stuff was never even used or gone through. The investigation was completely halted in 2013 after they got the recording, so they never dug any deeper. So now, Shelby has to have a whole nother team of a whole new lawyer, which is a post-conviction attorney, because it's a Commonwealth. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. So he's got a post-conviction attorney. They have their own team of investigators. They have, access to so much more. So they're able to actually give him post-conviction relief, which means, of course, we're looking probably another 6 months, 7 months before there's actually an appeal. So,
wow. And then,
very, very good things, though.
Yeah, this one sounds like the one that's going to work because of all the stuff that hasn't been looked at yet.
Right.
Is it kind of, don't you only get like so many appeals? So this would be like hopefully the last one?
This will be his first appeal.
Okay.
Because he was sentenced. He was actually on the plea deal. He was actually plea dealed in 2020. So it took them 6 years just to get it to court. It took.
Sorry. Nicolina said that he admitted to killing 16 people and he wants Shelby on the panel.
Well,
Get me Shelby.
Sweet. Good luck. He's in prison. Get him on your panel. Go for it, dude. Go for it.
He wants everyone on there. He's funny.
Oh, my God.
See, that's my problem, actually. I think it's so hard that I laugh at him so much, but really he's causing damage. He's just so slow. It's funny to me.
I mean, get with the program. I wonder if Internal Affairs will allow that. Oh, my God. Yeah, tell him to call his Internal Affairs officer back. Just saying. That call still sounds fake. Because when I do call the prison and have to talk to somebody at the prison, it doesn't ring a second time. Just saying.
I wonder who his idol is. It has to be the guy from the Tiger Netflix thing. What's that? Joe? That guy Joe?
Yeah, Joe. Joe Exotic.
There you go. I think that's his idol.
Oh, good Lord. Like, I don't understand. Like, I'm sorry. If that was, my family member, which my family don't sell each other out, so I don't know what that's like. But if that was my sister or even my brother, it'd be like, huh?
Right.
It's just crazy. We're just mad because he has so many people backing him, and we're jealous. Well, I can go buy subs. Would that help prove a point? Oh, wait, I'd lose monetization. Never mind.
So, I guess, what are you just at the point now where you're just keeping in contact with them and waiting for because the process takes a long time? Or is there anything that you guys are working on right now?
We're working on quite a bit. Like there was a piece of DNA, or a blood sample of DNA that was found that does not match Shelby or King.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I got the paperwork on it.
Wow.
So they're actually doing a deep dive into that as well. So yeah, DNA could be a factor in this at this point.
I still can't get over the Ernie saying that Shelby borrowed his shoes thing. That's really weird.
It was weird because it's like, dude, have you ever tried to wear a pair of shoes too small?
Yeah.
That hurts. That's painful, and it ain't gonna work. Just saying.
It's weird. Very weird.
So It's just
And
like all of it's weird.
I think it's a good time. If anybody has any questions, please drop the questions. I think maybe a few more minutes and it might be a good time to get out of here.
Yeah, go
But
see what's.
ah,
Actually,
that
I'm going to
was
cook dinner and enjoy my evening while I can.
I'm just so happy that you took the time out because literally it's you can't find anything online, and then when you go on YouTube and you see the only person who is really showing like the evidence or the proof was Jimbo, and then he's an idiot who likes Ernie. I'm like, how do I do this? Where do I go to try to understand what's going on here?
Well, I'm glad we were able to do this. I'm glad that, this was aired out. And like I said, I'll keep bringing truth and facts and moving forward. And with each new development, I will let that out. So,
And there's a lot more too. Like there's stuff that there's just too much that we didn't bring up. Maybe I'll have to look in more and get like questions, and maybe we can do it again sometime.
awesome. Yeah. Definitely, like I said, go back, listen to Dixon, because we are no longer reading transcripts. No.
Yeah.
But if you go back and you listen to them speak, you literally hear a whole nother world play out. So
Do you know if the DNA sample was blood?
it was blood. Yes.
Okay, so if there was semen or something, I'm sure we'd know. I don't think there is
Right.
that we know.
No. It was a lube, spermicidal lube that was found in that area. So it's kind of just been thrown out.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. I know it might have been a joke question, but yeah,
Mhm.
there's probably none of that DNA.
Yeah. So there is a blood sample that was found mixed with King's blood. So very
Well,
promising piece of information.
well, alrighty, Mandy. I really appreciate you again coming on.
Oh,
Everybody,
you're welcome.
yeah, they love you in the chat. You did a great job tonight answering all the questions for us and stuff.
Yeah. I do try, guys. I do. I'm not a saint, but I do try.
Oh wait, one more question I had. Where I've got to scroll up. Oh, how did I come across Ernie for the first interview I did with him? I think it was the werewolf in the Summer Wells case thing.
Oh, good.
I guess
Like,
he found he found hair and he was a werewolf in a different case. That's how I found him.
oh my gosh. Like, don't they understand that that's crazy? Like, werewolves don't
Yeah,
exist?
yeah.
Oh,
I
wait, he
don't
thinks
get it.
he is a werewolf, though. I mean,
I guess that's what people are saying. He lives in the fantasy land. He might believe this stuff. Who knows?
okay, so Nicolina, you are going to stream this craziness because I'll come over there. I'm not going to those other places. I can't.
Me too. I'll be over there too. I can't wait.
Yeah.
What are they streaming anyway? I got to get
Oh,
the
they're
deets.
probably, she's been like filling us in chat, like Shelby admitted to 16 murders, blah, blah, blah. I'm like,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
whatever,
right.
dude, whatever.
That's messed up to say. But all right.
I'm sorry. He would have been caught by now and they would have thrown more at him. So
Oh
that's
yeah,
where I have a problem with this. Just saying.
100%. But
Yeah.
alrighty, Mandy. I'll probably see you at Nicolina's. I'm gonna get out of here
Awesome.
and
And
thank
if you
you
ever
again.
have questions, you know how to get a hold of me. So just ask away.
Yep, sounds good.
All right. Sounds
Alrighty.
good. Bye, guys.
Bye bye. Oh man, guys, that was so great. Thank you so much, Mandy from Truth and Justice. Make sure to check out her link. It's in the description. When I said she does a lot of the true crime on Shelby Shell, just check it out. A lot of stuff. So when she talks to Shelby, the families, and has relationships and stuff like that, she has some info that not a lot of us have. And again, we can't really look up anything online anyway. So she's a great source for that information. Also, I will see you guys at Nicolina's. If you guys don't know Nicolina, please subscribe to her. I'm sure you all know her, though. I got to see what Ernie's talking about right now. I'd love to find out. At the end of every live stream that I do, I find a daily reflection. I like to read those. If you're not spiritual or religious or addicted to anything, just apply it to anything else going on in your life, and then we'll get out of here. Today is called The Circle and the Triangle. Early in my program, I became employed in its services, and I found the explanation of our society's logo to be very appropriate. First, a circle of love and service with a well-balanced triangle inside, the base of which represents our recovery through the 12 steps. Then the other two sides representing unity and service, respectively. The three sides of the triangle are equal. As I grew in the program, I soon identified myself with this symbol. I am the circle, and the sides of the triangle represent three aspects of my personality: physical, emotional sanity, and spirituality. The latter forming the symbol's base. Taken together, all three aspects of my personality translate into a sober and happy life. Sometimes the readings are great, sometimes they're not as good as others. Thank you so much, mods. This is probably the craziest live stream you guys have been a part of in a long time. I will see you guys at Nicolina's. Have a great night. Have a great night. Oh, man, let's see what we got here.